My goodness, what a surprise. What a pleasant surprise. Did you expect to see me, ladies and gentlemen? I bet not. The GOAT, myself, Piercing, I have returned. I've missed you all so much. And I am here with my bud, wow, okay,
Just Kai if that
already
doesn't work
butchering
for
names.
you.
Already butchering names so early. Typical Piercing behavior. Typical Sheldon behavior, which I know everyone's going to flip out about that. Sheldon! Yeah. But yeah, so glad to be back. I know it's been kind of a break. I've had a lot of IRR stuff, but let's not make this all about me. Kai, how are you doing? And how are you feeling about this upcoming matchup? I'm glad to see Kettering and Muskingum again. So what are your thoughts? And I'm glad you can join me.
Yeah, I'm glad to join the absolutely esteemed Sheldon on tonight's stream with a absolute banger of a match. Kettering against Muskingum, even though both of these teams were in different divisions, both of them have come out swinging from their divisions, and it looks like it's going to be a absolute fireworks show on
Oh,
tonight's
yeah.
matchup. So I'm really looking forward to some good siege this evening on this second match of the night.
Oh, 100%. I think these two teams are going to bring about something magical for tonight. But speaking of magical, let's take a look at those team stats and see how everyone is stacking up to this point.
First one's Kettering, I believe, for the lineups.
All right. And for Kettering Varsity, we've got Arc Badman with a 56.53 SPR, 152 total kills. Chop with 57.37, 119 kills. Crine with 43.67 SPR, 112 kills. Matt Mac with 48.06, 92 kills. And Revenant with 51.31, 118.
Not bad stats all around, hovering all around that kind of expected 46 plus, aside from Cryan, who I'd assume is probably more on a supporting role or a flex role to bring that down, because the kill ratio is holding up with the rest of the team so far for this season. And we'll also drop that right into Muskingum's lineup to compare stats there overall. There's Zmart. We did see Muskingum play a couple of weeks ago as well on stream, and Zmart was definitely one of the standout players, sitting at the 60.47 SPR, coming out flying into these playoffs with 174 kills to his name. And even with Lucci and SMF Bones not quite hitting triple digits, they are still holding up in their matches with those decently high siege player ratings. And yeah, Muskingum looks like a pretty good contender for this match tonight.
Oh, yeah, no, 100%. I think they are going to be really good when it comes to retention. And I think we can expect these players to keep themselves on the up and up for a pretty long period of time, which, from what I've seen from them in the past, they have a pretty good sustainability. So I am expecting to see a lot of that tightly knit gameplay that we come to expect coming from Muskingum there. But with that being said, let's take a look at the player head-to-heads here in just a moment. Take it
Some
away.
head-to-head statistics. I mean, survival stats on Chop is the one that really is the one that you're seeing over top of Zmart here. And I think that becomes extremely important when you also see the overall kills per round, because while Zmart might be able to get in and get those kills more guaranteed per round, the survival rating means that sometimes it's a first death and then kind of getting your one and then taking off for the rest of the map. So it kind of, even though there are some stats that Zmart might have over top of Chop in that way, I do think that is an important line to bring attention to when we're considering these two teams tonight, and some difference makers on what they're going to bring to the table.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely. And that's the thing that you kind of have to keep in mind, right? Is that survivability, right? Because when it comes to attacking, you got to keep your numbers up, especially when you're running more essential utility on the front. If even one player loss can be really devastating. And I think that also kind of speaks to, depending on their composition, if they're getting the usage out of their active utility or not. Because if you have a higher SPR, you're going to get more mileage out of it. Because that's the challenge, right? If you have a low SPR, you can't really get the full use out of it. So I would say expect to see quite a lot of active utility coming from both Zmart and Chop, as their SPRs are very comparable. Honestly, it kind of makes me almost kind of question how a lot of these fights are going to be coming out, whether they're going to be just like little picks here and there, or we're going to just see an all-out brawl amidst the setup.
Well, that'll have to depend on how these players are performing this season. We do some player overtime stats for Kettering. Will be the first matchup that we have, and it's Insomniac. So we don't have anything from the spring season, but a 57.26 siege player rating for the current season and 1.64 kill death ratio and almost a kill per round really does show that this player has been above and beyond consistent for Kettering throughout the season. And I'll be excited to see what kind of difference he's able to make in tonight's matchup against a really powerful opponent in the form of Muskingum.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, just such a heavy hitter. A KD like that's blistering. And of course, can you really say that you were surprised to see Zmart showing up on player overtime? This is kind of what you expect. I mean, look at these stats. Spring season 2024, 61.68 SPR, KDR 1.9, KPR 1.2, SRV 41%. I mean, talk about blistering numbers. Oh, but he's not done there. Let's take a look at the current season. 71.63 SPR, a whole 10 improvement. KDR 2.66, almost an extra kill per round added. KPR 1.66, although the survivability has gone down a little bit, could show a bit of an increased aggression coming from Zmart, but considering the passion that he withholds in his matchups, I'm not surprised by that going down just ever so slightly, but still staying alive just long enough to get some massive impact as we're clearly seeing here.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Zmart as our player to watch this evening as well in the next slide, because those are some incredible stats. Yes, you do have lower survival rate overall, but the kills per round, okay, not the player to watch tonight. We're just going straight to maps. But with Cafe, Labs, and Skyscraper, I think that stats like that are something from Zmart is what's going to make a massive difference on these specific picks. And I think Labs is a map that we have seen consistently throughout the Midwest R6 season across all divisions, but I've seen it pick up even more in the playoffs as the kind of unexpected map pick, the one that some people are hiding strats for, or maybe even needed the full season to get comfortable with. And now that we see it here in the hands of Muskingum, I'm very interested to see what they have in terms of an answer to the stats of Zmart leading up to this game tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of those map picks, I do want to kind of point out one interesting thing and kind of broaden the scope a little bit. It's not just here in the Midwest locality. Across the Western and Eastern European scene, there's also been a massive uptick coming in for Nighthaven Labs and for Skyscraper. This isn't just a localized incident. It's pretty much across the globe. These maps are really showing up, and I think it kind of really shows how much more comfortable these teams are with these maps, which, in my opinion, about dang time, folks. Come on now. I know these maps can be kind of heavy tilted on defender side, but you got to learn it at some point. And I guess a lot of these more common teams have kind of gotten tired of, getting swept on these maps and not having control over the map picks. So there it is.
If I remember correctly as well, I think Labs has been out for about 3 years now, which you just sit back and wonder, like, where did the time actually go? But 3 years is plenty enough time to get comfortable with. But we're going to drop ourselves into the player to watch. So I got my ordering up mixed up a little bit here. The player to watch on is that on Cafe? Yes, it is, because that's on our next map. So Chop seems to really prefer this map, having that 1.3 kills per round and bumping up that survival rate to 56%. And I think that actually speaks a lot to the overall composition and the layout of Cafe, where there's a lot of these corners and things that you can hide in as a player, but that could also just be proving as well how comfortable Chop is on this map. Not only can you hide in some of these corners, but you might be able to just hold yourself up, and keeping yourself up is all that you can really ask for some of these players.
Oh yeah. And also, by the way, side note, I've seen you guys going crazy with Midwest bets. All I'm saying is put your money where your mouth is, okay? I put $100 to throw in money at chance, and I will gladly do it here. Don't try me. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, ignore my yapping. We're going to get right into this matchup as we're ready to go, ladies and gentlemen. Cafe Dostoevsky. Let's do it.
Well, excuse you yapping. I mean, that's kind of what we do here, right? It's kind of our MO.
It's definitely my MO. Shoot. But Speaking of yapping, let's talk about these bans for a little bit. Are we thinking we're going to see anything more specific? I know these teams have a lot more experience now that they've been in for several seasons. We are going to see Muskingum go out with a Ying ban. Better safe than sorry, especially on a map like Cafe. You can only hide in so many corners before you get flashed out and you can't see anything, going full white. Or black in this case. I do remember that update. Don't know how to feel about that. Haven't really tested it out.
I mean, it's a lot nicer on the eyes overall, and Ying is really good, I feel, on Cafe, because in some specific instances, like your top floor defense or your kitchen defense, there's only so many different entry points that the attack has, and Ying is really good at blowing those defenses wide open. Meanwhile, Dokebi also joining her on the ban list. A lot of roam potential on Cafe that can get shut down by that operator. So Kettering does not want to see that while they're on defense as well. We'll take it away from their own attacking lineup. Meanwhile, Mira, absolutely necessary ban. I was very surprised to see in the earlier matchup of Northwood against Wichita that we didn't see Mira get banned on Cafe. So not at all surprised to see that operator taken off the roster either.
Yeah, no, I mean, other than the Dokebi, this is pretty much exactly what I expected. I think that Mira is kind of overplayed in the prowess nowadays. I mean, there's just way more options to deal with her. You've got Twitch, you've got Ashe, you have Callie. There's just a lot more to deal with. And to be honest, I'm still kind of surprised that she's still banned as much as she is. I truly don't think that she is as dangerous as people make her out to be. As long as you are kind of staying ahead of the curve and having a means to destroy that Mira, you really don't have to worry about her. And I mean, when you consider the standard compositions, right? The Ashe, the Ace, you have plenty of viable options for countering it. So I really don't think it's that strong of a pick. But moving on for the bans, first floor out, we're going to be going to Bakery, which is going to be, I would say, not that safe of a pick coming from Muskingum. I don't know how to feel about that. I mean, yeah, they didn't go second floor, which would definitely be the gutsier pick. So it is safer in that regard. But what do you think about going Bakery for the first round? Typically, I just play it safe and go third floor.
I mean, Bakery on first round really either speaks to Muskingum's confidence in this map, even though it is Kettering's map pick. Because when you go onto the third floor of Cocktail and Bar, that is a site that you typically pick because it's the default. It's setting up your defenses, making sure that you actually feel comfortable on the map. Whereas Kitchen has a bit more vulnerability, especially when you consider the verticality that this map, that this site specifically offers. And Kettering have played into this. I mean, they're bringing the Ram, they're bringing the Hibana, they're bringing the Deimos. All these operators that are really good at flushing out the defenders on these first floor sites, not to mention a little bit of roam clear in the form of Deimos. But typically what I've seen Deimos used for in a lot of the matches that we've spectated is that we see him used as a operator that can just shoot through the floors. You know, you find one of the defenders on the site based off their utility. However, Derp is going to find himself at the tail end of Cheese Curl's MP5K and is the first down. Has not been collected yet, but Muskingum's player will back off now. Oh no, we're just so close to each other, but Zmart actually goes down first. Oh wait, but none of these kills have been traded back. There's the first one being struck out. Arc Badman on a extremely lucky timing with a bearing 9 on the snow window will find the first kill in the form of the Legion.
Wow. I mean, that's really unfortunate coming from Muskingum. You know, you're going to have a top down. It's going to be time inefficient. But for Kettering to be able to take one, and not just one, but Zmart, that's a rough start. But also, too, now you've got Derp taking Cheese Curl as well. That's another player already down. This is, regardless of time efficiency, a very big win coming out from Kettering, but keeping all of your vertical players alive, which is Crime with the Ram. That is going to be massive for being able to set up deep lines of sight, especially with Deimos on the board, being able to hunt out these vertical players. This is very dangerous territory for Muskingum to be able to contest this, especially when you look at the composition of secondary utility. Only SMF Bones has a Nitro, and I do believe that's already been used, if I'm not misreading that there. So they really don't have a lot of options to contest this. Wall's now going down. Reserve trying to get a little active to contest this. Oh, sees the head. Can't really connect it. 50 seconds to go. Oh, does finally get it there. That's going to be Arc Badam now down and out. But still, very good odds coming out for Kettering. Spots the player on the vertical. That's going to be Reserve, taking heavy damage. Does manage to make it all the way back out to Bakery. Does get caught out by Matt Mac. Very nice shot coming out. clearing it down to a 4v2. Only one player down from Kettering. This is looking rough for Muskingum unless they can get active and start sweeping these pushes.
With only 22 seconds left on the round, sure you're in a 2v4, but Kettering does have to make the action here, as Lucci and Bones will combine for 2 more to bring the numbers back even. Those are both those players, I believe, that were still rather low on Kettering from the earlier engagement that they had, with Matt getting the plant down now, and Chop on the red stairs can swing by Whiskey. The last player falls in the bar rotate, and Kettering, it looked a little bit hazy there at the end, but they find clarity and bring themselves to the first round win at the absolute death of the timer.
What a beautiful hold coming in from Kettering. Yeah, they had some major setbacks, which was Muskingum playing that perfectly. You got to push back. When you've got those kind of numbers and there's still the very real possibility of verticality with Damo still on the board, you got to get out of there and try to disrupt that progress. That's why we saw so much presence over in Bakery, which was a good call. But the problem was Muskingum was isolated from the VIP side, which we saw from Derp on that hold with Damos. Even though he went out, it doesn't matter, because what that did is it set the stage for Kettering to isolate those last 2 defenders and allow for a secure plant. Even if Chop wasn't able to get the 2 that she did, which were massive in their favor to secure the round, it's still a much harder take when you've got so many different options to push against. But moving on from the next round, we are going to be going back onto Bakery. So it does look like Muskingum is feeling quite confident to be able to retake that site that they previously lost. And I think there's credibility to that. I think they have the right opportunity. Composition's looking pretty similar. I don't know if there was a Valkyrie last round. I don't think there was. But I do like that. And it does look like they're going to be focusing on not taking so much damage from the top down.
Yeah, last round they had the Arunis. That's what they're swapping off of. This time around, Reserve going in for the Valkyrie, which has been a perennial decent operator on this map. I mean, Cafe and Valkyrie go together like peanut butter and jelly. It's just a combination made in heaven, really. Cheese Girl, again, playing the aggressor here inside of Piano Bar, and gets spotted out on the drone, shot nearly through the soft wall, and Derp is there to aggress. The Wamai being one of the first players out. Oh no, there goes Z-Mart as well. And I'm having deja vu. I mean, it's the first floor defense, and both of your Legion and Wamai are the first operators out. And I think that these are really crucial operators to lose for Kettering to gain and for Muskingum to lose, because those are operators that get more powerful as the round goes on. When you lose both of them within the first 45 seconds of the round as well, you don't have the ability to continue putting out these Wamaidas, keep putting out those Legion mines. And now the defenses of Muskingum are left up to what they've already pre-placed or what they have in hand. And 2 barrel canisters, while they're nice, they do need a little bit more help than just being able to breeze a gadget and slow things down, especially now that Kettering has so much time. And look at how much they're able to open up because of those opening 2 picks, with the roam being cut down decisively.
Oh yeah, I mean, when you've got 2 picks coming out like that, again in the top down, what do you expect? You're gonna be much faster, much more efficient, because it's kind of, you know, the same as the last. However, Archmadam does go down, as well as Derp. SMF Bones able to take that. They are getting a lot more aggressive, Muskingum, against the vertical, which I think is the right call, because they really struggled once Kettering was able to really get their feet into Bakery. That's where things started to take a turn. So getting ahead of that is pretty much Muskingum's main prerogative in order to bring this round back. But they still got 50 seconds remaining, so there's still a lot of time that comes into play for Kettering. But allowing this flexibility, now that the vertical has pretty much been abandoned entirely, pushed away in favor of a horizontal push, this gives Kettering a little bit more play around on site. As we're starting to see, we've got presence from Loki on site, a little bit of damage coming out, a very nice shot coming in from Reserve. You got to check that closet room. Crime goes down. Now 23 seconds left on the clock. It's a 2v3. And this is actually going to put Kettering out on top, but Matt will be able to catch Loki getting a little bit too aggressive there. 13 seconds left on the clock. They're now going to have to push Bakery, where they're isolated as SMF Bones able to pick up Chop. No problem at all. A clean shot coming in. Pushes in through Bakery. Now has to find this one. Try to go for a plant, but forces the matter anyway. And here comes the Nitro. 2 of them. Hello. And Matt and Mac will not be able to get the plant down.
What a insane turnaround from Muskingum at the end there. I was thinking in the back of my head that Kettering had left the last attack round rather late, and even with the man advantage, things had gotten rather close. And in that one, again, we lose the same 2 players from Muskingum on the top floor. And Kettering looks like they're in a good position to take the advantage, and they get the ram drones down, they get the walls opened up with the ace, they do pretty much everything that they need to in terms of clearing the top floor to get the execute down. But then there's a slight bit of hesitation. Lucci finds himself tucked in a small bakery, wastes a ton of time there, and you have Reserve, who is sitting over inside a coat check that catches a free kill that they hadn't droned out on the Valkyrie sitting there as I think it was the IQ who was rotating in through Whiskey Bar as well. So Kettering, sure, they do a little bit of the preliminary work, but getting things over the end of the line there is what ends up killing them. And Muskingum holds their defenses strong to win that one in a very well-deserved 1-1. So now we're actually seeing the site that we expected them to play, which is this cocktail bar hold. And we see the Azami. This is the operator that maybe you would see. You were talking about how Mira may not be a necessary ban, because Mira taking a ban means that Azami is now available on this map. And I don't know if you've seen a whole lot of this, Piercing, but Azami inside of Piano is one of the more disgusting setups. You turn every corner and there's just drywall basically everywhere. Like, look at this is insane. How do you play against this? Well, it doesn't seem like Kettering really has the tools necessary to do so. You do have the Ash and the Flores, but the problem now is going to be peaking these unsafe angles with these specific operators to remove that utility and actually being able to follow up on it afterwards.
While that is certainly a powerful position, and I'd have to agree with you there, it really comes down to the support, which I think is kind of a weak point for Muskingum when it comes to holding this piano position. We've seen twice how players just get isolated one after another from Piano and Whitehall. So I do have a little bit of concern for how they will be able to hold that. And unfortunately for Kettering, Derp is going to go down. That's going to be a pick coming out from, I believe, Loki. And that's going to be a good start coming in from Muskingum to help hold this Piano position, which, again, with the right support, which we're seeing from the Maestro cam, we're seeing from that bathroom player, that's going to be so powerful. And they're already trying to take down that Piano, down a player, and so far, they haven't really made much progress into the building quite yet, which, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of choke points here. It's really difficult, but there's got to be a move coming in soon, because right now, the progress is looking a little rough.
It's a little bit slow, and even though you get the Flores drone onto one of these zombie barricades, oh, that's some siege timing for you, Lucci. How does it feel to be at the receiving end of the AK-12? That is quite unfortunate. Lucci thought they had a little bit more time to put out the zombie barricade onto the breach wall that happened on the top of the red stairs, but meets their demise instead. That being said, though, Muskingum does have a lot of utility available, especially in these Maestro cameras that they'll have to get these Flores drones onto, but I don't know how many of those they have left. I mean, they see one Flores drone. Shots have been missed by the Maestro. Goodbye, Maestro cam. So you lose that piece of defense now. But we're in a 44 situation with only a minute left remaining, and with only 3 players actually left for Kettering. I'm a little bit worried at how this might resolve for them again.
I still feel like there's a good fighting chance for, well, not until Zmar took Mac. That's another big loss. Crying going down as well. Can't even get the words out to explain their opportunities taking Piano, but it doesn't matter as they just get swept one by one. Flying victim to the crosses and the lineups. Zmar taking a very nice shot onto Cocktail Balcony, onto Cigar. This is kind of what I was talking about, you know, being able to take Piano and open that up, you know, to give you a way to further displace Cocktail and Bar. But unfortunately, that cavalry never came. And that comes in big part to the support that Lucci was able to give in holding off that Piano push, taking one and taking away so much time, as well as the utility investment too.
Yeah, it was a lot of utility. You saw Flores drones going out. You saw the Ace charges breaking up the red wall. You saw Ash charges going onto the Maestro that they had inside of Piano there. And it really didn't matter at the end of the day. Even though the Flores drone was able to get the one that was sitting on main bar on the 3rd floor there as well, the end result still was Muskingum just had the better angles. Sure, you're able to clear out the backside of Piano and Cigar and maybe a little bit of utility off of Bar, but you still have to worry about Heaven Bout. You still have to worry about Cocktail. And with those parts still left uncleared or unchecked from Kettering, Muskingum is just able to post up their defensive operators on those specific locations and clean house from there. Because, like I said earlier, Cafe is a map that has a lot of these really weird, nasty little angles that you can't. It's difficult to clear, is what I'm trying to get at. They are not the easiest thing in the world, especially when you have to spend so much time looking around each one of them. And for the attack, when they leave things late and take too much time clearing out, say, Piano, like they did in that last round, you're going to be faced with, well, a ton of hardship, and that's how Muskingum pulls ahead here. Bringing a lot more trap-heavy operators as well. You could say that Legion, Capcan, and Malusi are all contributing to that count. The name of the game is delay for these operators, with Reserve playing a rather aggressive position with the smoke, but you know, with it being a 2-speed operator and the SMG-11, you can afford some of that, especially when you have the castle barricades sitting on Cocktail Bar. Zmart doesn't even have to fire a bullet to kill Cryan. The Capcan traps explode in his face, and down goes Derp as well. Both R4C operators are off the board. And that bad goes to worse for Kettering already within a minute.
I mean, the intel game just wasn't there. I mean, if you look, already 5 drones down, and we're barely a minute and a half into the round. Actually, we're not even. And we saw a lot of those drones getting destroyed very early into the prep phase. Intel is key, ladies and gentlemen. And when you're losing that much intel, that leaves you open to situations like what we saw just there. Cheese Girl sitting comfortably in Cocktail, not having to move a finger until, well, he felt like it. And sure enough, he did, and took one in turn. And I believe that was Cryan who succumbed to those shots. But Chop does catch Z-Mart. But the problem now is, where do you go from here? You're getting a lot of that top control. You still have a player over in Cocktail who is isolated and alone. Nade coming out. There's the shot. Can't quite catch it. Does manage to rotate out. Takes significant damage. Goes for the re-swing. Probably would have done that. And Cheese Girl will go down in turn, as well as Lucci. That's going to be a big deficit, bringing it to a 3v2. Now forcing Reserve to try to get active here, bring these numbers back, looking for somebody here, but can't find anyone. Does spot the players, but just can't get the shots. Z-Mart, come on! Again, with the cap cans, taking yet another player, now bringing it to a 2v2. And again, Muskingum doesn't have to lift a finger here. They let the utility and the lack of intel do the work. SMF Bone's gonna be able to take another. That's gonna be chopped down. Now all up to Arc Badman. Was looking so good, but not anymore, as they just couldn't find these players and fell one too many to the cap cans.
It's really good hold on that Cocktail Bar as well by Lucci. Even though Lucci was eventually found out by the sledge, was a huge component in being able to delay that top floor hold, because they drop the Ash in there, they drop the Ram in there. The Ram gets the castle barricade open, but by the time the castle barricade's open, you still have that reinforced wall on Cocktail to deal with, and can't shoot through that. You have to try and find another way to get utility down, and so it's up to the sledge to follow up. And by the time that follow-up is actually found, Muskingum have already won the round, because they've got their picks, and Z-Mart getting one pick while he was dead with the Capcan traps is just really unfortunate for Kettering. But it does go to show that, yeah, the intel game, losing these drones so early and not being able to, not really capitalizing on the ability to actually shoot out the Capcans, has made it so that Kettering just makes the problems worse for themselves, really. And Muskingum have, and to Muskingum's credit, they've also been doing really well at holding a lot of these defense positions and wasting so much time. But it is surprising, too, to see Kettering falling to so many, what would feel more plainly obvious things. Now, Z-Mart's on the Scopos, an operator that I'm always excited to see, the first operator with which you can teleport in Rainbow Six Siege, the roamer that can be just about anywhere. I'm interested to see how well this operator contributes to Muskingum's time-wasting ability, which they've been doing so well. And even though Lucci started the round off with only 60 HP, we'll see just how much of that is remaining once 2.5 minutes are up.
Oh yeah, I mean, a little bit of misfires. I mean, at least he still got the majority of his health. So I mean, could be a lot worse. But I mean, yeah, I really do want to see what Zmart pulls out with Skupos, because keep in mind, right, he's already ultra aggressive, I would say, in his playstyle. And having an operator active utility with a high SPR this season that we discussed before, and being able to have that mobility, especially on a map like, you know, Cafe, where you could do runouts and all kinds of crazy flanks, it's pretty much impossible to narrow down every avenue of movement. This is where Skupos thrives. This is where the danger lies. And we're going to see just that in a moment. We're already witnessing that beginning top-down, Muskingum back onto Bakery. And so far, they haven't really made a major push yet, as a lot of the players from Muskingum over by second floor. We're already starting to see a little bit of an early fallback onto second floor. And, oh no, there's the Skopos utility getting caught. They know their players over in Library, but that kind of eliminates the whole point there. But minute 35, and it looks like both teams are playing this much slower here, as we have not seen a single bullet land on anyone other than Muskingum's own teammate at this point. I'm really surprised to see how slow things are going right now.
It's all the quiet before the storm. When you get down to 10 men with less than half the round remaining, you know things are going to be going up in flames. Floors getting opened up by the boogie drones from Kettering. So again, doing their homework that they need to on the first floor defense. But I think that a lot of that does have to come down to how Zmart was able to waste so much time with the Skopos. And once Zmart felt like, I'm getting pinched from White Stairs and from Snowbell, I'm going to teleport back to site. And that still means that Kettering still has to take the time to actually clear that player out. And that's why we're down to only 45 seconds remaining with all 10 players remaining, because Kettering haven't really had the opportunity to catch a player off guard, but have still had so much time wasted by this robot. And with Lucci on 60 HP, I mean, that was by their own doing. Derp has dropped pretty low here. Things are going to get real messy in these last 30 seconds. Chop peeking from the red stairs as well. But it's going to be one player wide on Small Bakery. Reserve is found on Whiskey Bar, but Derp has been finally dropped onto the floor. No chance of recourse for him. Chomp and Arc Batman both on only 10 and 12 HP respectively. And Zmart can swing out wide here. It might be a 2v4, but Zmart has it all to do. He's in a 1v4 situation, but it's only 5 seconds remaining. Matt Max on the floor. Arc Batman and Cryan have to grab the case to go for the plant here for the win, and instead they just run out of the time without being able to complete the objective.
Oh my gosh, all of that preparation, all of that intel, and you forget when time is running low, you gotta plant! Oh my goodness. So devastating for Kettering. I mean, by the books, by the execution, they should have had that. All the intel that they gathered throughout the round. We saw the spotting of the closet player. We saw the bar play getting spotted out. They took their time. The setup was perfect, and Muskingum wasn't very active in responding to Kettering's setup, thinking that usually you need some kind of mini execute to get onto the first floor before getting on site, which generally is true. But when you have that much information coming out, that typically kind of goes, that presumption of attacking first floor or defending first floor goes out the window. But when you lose diffuser and you can't plant, that kind of changes the story quite a bit. So, I mean, that's gotta be a big upset coming from Kettering. But still, either way, a very meticulous attack executed perfectly. They had the information and they left no stone unturned. It was just, you know, a little slip up, right? I mean, hey, those can make the difference in winning or losing a round.
You know, I've been told by production, because they are another pair of eyes on this game, that Ace was the one with the diffuser, and he got downed by Capcan traps. And so they didn't have time to rotate to where Ace had been to pick up the diffuser to plant the case. Again, Capcan traps proving to beat Kettering's kryptonite so far. And that's a bit of a surprise, because I remember there was some statistic on the effectiveness of trap operators some time ago, and depending on the elo that you're playing against, it was more of like a bell curve. At lower elo, people don't know to look out for traps or entirely miss them and die to them, and then you get into platinum, maybe low diamond elo, and that goes down, and you go all the way up to champion and nobody's expecting them, and they get down to Capcan traps more often. So that's something that I think we're seeing out here, is that these people aren't, you know, they're playing at such a high level and they're incredibly talented gunners that they're not expecting the Capcan traps to go through. However, reserve has been expected up here by Derp, who will not trade it back either. Lucci holding a bit of this piano defense that we've seen before with the Azami, but as it stands, Muskingum, for one of the first times in the last few rounds, are starting off on the back foot. Derp also going for more here, but also getting pinged out by the Maestro Cam. Might be meeting his death eventually. Very little HP remaining on this player of Striker, caught between a rock and a hard place of their own making. Zmart eventually claims it there with the Frost, but Arc Batman is ready for the follow-up. Lucci falls to the gridlock on Repel, leaving Muskingum again at a man disadvantage.
Yeah, a little bit caught too far off guard, unfortunately, for Muskingum. But Crime does go down. Wonder if that's a cap can at work there. Oh, wait, nope, there's no cap can on the board. Pay attention, Piercing. But, I mean, again, now we're down to a 3v2. Kettering able to quickly whip it around with now only Cheese Curl and Zmart left on a board. But you still got a menace on Muskingum. You know, that's going to be your Zmart. Oh, but wasn't ready for the top red hold coming from Chop. But Cheese Curl does manage to catch one. This is a 1v2. Very winnable situation here. Not all is lost here. Just have to find the right opportunity to take one here. It's a very good sneak. Manages to walk all the way to path. Did they hear the spike? They didn't! Chop not ready for it. Cheese Curl able to take that. We see Act Badman trying to get the refrag desperately here, but can't quite close those shots out. Does spot the rotate, anticipating that with a very nice hold coming from Bar. That's going to be Arc Badman to save the round from the Wrath of Cheese Curl, keeping him alive just a little bit longer.
Cheese Curl nearly had the craziest clutch position by sitting on pallets and going to bathroom, clearing about 7 meters worth of distance and winning the round again from Muskingum. It would have been a 5-1 half if it weren't for that final shot landed by Kettering. And so they'll go into this defensive half 2-4, kind of what you'd expect all around. I actually do have some stats pulled up from the recent Montreal Major. And on Cafe Dostoevsky, it is a 61% defensive round win in the professional leagues, over 170 rounds played on the map. This is definitely a more defender-sided map, and so this half split is kind of what you tend to expect from a map with stats like that. That being said, Kettering, on a couple of these rounds, on the ones that they've won as well in that last one, have looked a little bit shaky. And that makes me wonder, with Muskingum being 4-2 up, is that the advantage that they need to go into this next half to actually carry things across the line? With these defensive lineups as well, we're seeing a little bit of a different mentality. Previously for Muskingum, we saw a lot of stalling operators. The Castle, I believe, was brought every single round from the defense, maybe aside from one. Whereas in this one, we're bringing out the Goya, we're bringing out the Jaeger. We're playing a lot more proactively with our trap locations, kind of leave it and let it do its own work passively while we are playing more actively on our operators in return. That being said, speaking of getting active, Cheese Curl is on the Amaru. We're going for the rush play potentially on Muskingum as soon as the green light is given.
Yeah, I mean, I think that mentality difference is definitely going to be kind of the main thing to watch out for. And wow, talk about a lot of aggression as the Maru comes in. Now already planting. I don't even think they know. Oh, nope, they do. Derp going to be able to catch Cheese Curl with the Nitro, but 2 players down, 3 players down in Kettering, but 2 in from Muskingum as Lucci will be able to go down in turn. That means no more line. Derp going to get caught in the crossfires. It's going to be thanks to Zmart. It's now up to Siren having to walk up. But again, another cross, and Muskingum with a very aggressive attack, able to establish a deadly cross just with a little bit of give, a little bit of setup, and so much devastation in turn. And I think that is going to be a good, strong pacemaker coming in from Muskingum on his second half.
Absolutely. What a statement to make on your opening attack. Usually whenever people say that you do a rush play, you do it on that first round, catch the defense off guard, and that's what I think Muskingum ends up doing. Sure, you end up losing the Amaru with Case inside a cocktail, but by the time that the dust settles, well, it never really does actually settle. Kettering is caught on the back foot the entire time, have to have their players all rotate back to site, back to where all the action is happening, and directly into the line of sight of the guns of Muskingum on the attack. So, similar operator lineup being brought here, but Derp has swapped off the Valkyrie for the Castle. Again, an operator that has seen a lot of prevalence, and honestly, I'm not surprised to see here yet again. But Muskingum on that attack, they bring themselves to 5 points. And I think that 5 rounds is a very important round count because you were threatening match point. And even though it's not that you're winning the entire map, you are still threatening, like, all right, we have to, if we win this next one, you guys have to now make up 4 rounds worth of difference just to force overtime on this. And Kettering obviously don't want that to happen. Being on the back foot this far behind and being on the defensive side, you would think they would have some space to make up for it, but Muskingum putting the pressure on, and I'm bringing a rush lineup this time, bringing a little more utility clear and a little bit more of a, I would say, a standard selection of operators for this top floor attack. But all of it to do for Kettering. They have to win 4 rounds in order to force overtime themselves if they want to stave off defeat.
Oh,
so much value from these Twitch drones too.
And an even trade coming out in turn as well. A bit of a setback, but what space do you gain in turn? And unfortunately for Muskingum, it's not going to be much of really anything. So that does kind of come around in favor of Kettering. But in the long term, all of that utility they just lost from those Goyos means that time, as long as Muskingum manages it successfully, will be in their favor. But we got to talk about how on earth Arc Badman was able to get away, completely exposed, but I guess the cross was just a little bit too late there. Now the game is how to get into piano. Once they got that, they don't really have to worry about anything stopping them from planting. Remember, all those Goyles are now down and out, and wow, what a great flip on the rappel to take out Arc Badman. Reserve taking Mad Mac as well. Seems like the due diligence is working well for them, but Siren will be able to take SMF Bones. That's going to bring it down to a 2v3, but with no utility really stopping them from planting here, except maybe a Nitro, and being forced all the way back into White Stairs. It's all about keeping an eye on those aggressive plays, and that's going to be the playmaker. And there it is, Lucci with a very nice hold, able to take Siren out, which Kettering couldn't really afford right now. Now 1v3, cross comes in, Lucci to take Chop. Now match point in favor of Muskingum.
I understand the aggression that you had to play on Pixel / Bathroom there, because when you're down in a 2v3, you need to make something happen sometimes to catch your opponents off guard. But Muskingum were more than ready and now force ourselves on the match point on attack, and that'll force Kettering to go into kitchen and kitchen, because it's cooking and service, kitchen, cooking, kitchen, service. They really don't make that call out easy at all. We're seeing a Kai being brought out, I believe, for the first time in this matchup. I don't have too many recollections of this operator being brought by Muskingum when they were on defense either. But
no, I don't think they brought it at all. I'm pretty sure you're right on that.
Yeah, okay. So that probably what that means to me is that Kettering might try to anchor their defenses a lot more. You have the Wamai is an operator that you would expect to see on this side. In Castle, again, like I mentioned earlier, we're seeing this operator pretty much in every single round of Cafe. But the Kai then communicates to me that Kettering might try to have a very limited roam approach. I mean, Derp is bringing the only operator that is typically associated with a roam, and that's the Vigil, who's going all the way upstairs into Piano Room, possibly to hold off anybody who could drop into this Red Hatch location. But I'm worried what that might mean if Muskingum have drone things out properly here. And considering the operator lineup between the Blitz, the Finka, and the Lion, I think that what's going to happen here is that you're going to have a very direct line taken through Bakery, knock out the player who's playing, that's Arc Badman on the Wamai playing inside a small bakery. And once those points have been taken, but Arc Badman does get the first kill onto Reserve. We do see the Blitz here traded back by Bones, a 4v4, and Derp has been knocked down as well. So that's your roam player. You have to now rely on the anchoring that you have, and with only 40 seconds of the round gone, Muskingum have so much of the advantage on the attack. A team kill! Oh no! A terrible shot from the 417 rings out. But Bones makes it better. Mac, the next one to fall. It's a 1v3 for Cryan, who's all the way upstairs on the second floor. Has to now face out against a Lion. has an angle on the upstairs floor, looking into coat check, but the case has been planted. They know where this player is because of the shots that have rung out. So really, it's only the walk of shame down red stairs that he'll have to make. With the drone spotting him out, with the player sitting inside, and coat check well aware of his positioning as well. I think it's curtains, and it is Z-Mart the one to draw those curtains closed. A good half, bringing it from all the players. Kettering lose their map pick. Muskingum win in a domineering 7-2 fashion.
Such a strong take coming from Muskingum, but I mean, they kind of called the shots there perfectly. One of the things that I kind of noticed coming out from Kettering big time was a bit of a weakness in proactivity, right? Kind of a reacting rather than being the playmaker themselves. And that kind of resulted in a lot of big hits coming to them. And that allowed for a level of aggression coming from Muskingum that typically would be just outright unacceptable, whether it was the Amaru rush or the blitz force, right? Those kinds of aggressive plays you can't really get away with unless you're dealing with a team that's a little bit more reactive in how they handle their defense. A team that kind of focuses on just kind of letting things go by, you know, as they happen, which can work to an extent if you have a team that's kind of playing slower and you're not really giving them any opportunities. But Muskingum is not that team. They are aggressive. They like to go fast, and we know they like to run these types of compositions. You got to have a better, I would say, infrastructure to kind of deal with these types of situations. And even when Kettering was on attack, they had a similar mentality. They played it really slow. They got caught out quite a bit. Sometimes they were able to turn it around, right? Kind of lock it in. But oftentimes it came to be just too little too late. And because of their slower play style, they didn't really have the flexibility that they needed to deal with a team like Muskingum. Because the more aggressive a team is, the more adaptable that you need to be in case something goes horribly wrong. That's kind of where having more aggression, having more of a faster tempo benefits you greatly as you move higher and higher up into competitive. That's why most competitive teams, especially pro league level, are so freaking fast. That's why, right? It gives a lot more opportunity to be proactive in that way than reactive. And this is kind of where I think Kettering is at a bit of a disadvantage going into map 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Kettering in those last couple of rounds, I would say, looked like a deer in the headlights. They looked a bit stunned by how fast Muskingum was taking the attacks and were trying to make adaptations, but with how many rounds they had lost in the early half, it was a little bit too little too late, and Muskingum felt like they were just one step ahead, and they win Kettering's map pick 7-2 on Cafe. And that'll bring us into map number 2, which will be Night Haven Labs, but we're going to go there after a short little break.
Hey, connector, nice, good trade. IT still.
What? What's behind me?
Oh, two down, 1v1. Your Raptors is right now.
I think he's top waves.
Nice shit! Oh my god,
Dang,
good
okay, I
shit.
did down it.
Down to 15.
I'm reloading!
Jim.
Oh my god, placing
10 seconds to go. One friendly remaining. Op 4, last stop standing.
Right.
Now.
There's two. Nice.
Nice. What? It's Logi.
Bedroom.
Logi, last one, Logi.
Yeah.
Time expires in 10 seconds. 5 seconds left.
Nice.
Tap, tap, yeah, I want that. No lines, I don't cut back. Sweet, salty, and all that. Let loose, come get that. Can you play that back, back, back? Can you run that back, back, back? I'm trying to play that back, back, back. I want that. Hey, tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Right here, can you feel? Let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Right here, can you feel that? Ooh, you feel that? Ooh, the real back. Ooh, I'm still that. Ooh, you catch that? Ooh, I guess that. The best back. Yeah, yeah. 30,000 up on my pallet. Might jump out if I'm wildin'. Catch my flow, I'm so stylish. Tap, tap, real smooth. Can you play that back, back, back? Can you run that back, back, back? I'm trying to play that back, back, back. I want that. Hey, tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Right here, can you feel? Let's go. I'ma give it all I got, can't quit, can't stop. I'ma be shut it down like this. You ain't coming to my house, you ain't about what I'm about. I'm taking nothing down. Defense wins games, whatever it takes. I bring it. Defense wins games, whatever it takes. I bring it. I'ma give it all I got, can't quit, can't stop. I'ma be shut it down like this. Defense wins games, whatever it takes. I bring it out. Let's go.
All right, and we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! What a game one was. Kai, take it away. What did we just see there in game one?
Well, if you happen to miss it, we saw a 7-2 victory, an absolute scorcher from Muskingum, completely dominating on what was Kettering's map pick of Cafe. And throughout the entire match, I would say that Muskingum looked like they were ready to take control, and they sure did, ending the first half 4-2 on defense, and then winning 3 straight rounds on attack in a rather domineering fashion, with a map like Cafe being a more defender-sided map. It does make me wonder how things are going to shape up for Nighthaven Labs, especially considering the aggression that we saw from this last team. And look at the kill spread as well. Zmart and SMF Bones putting up double-digit numbers. Zmart with 6 deaths, but it doesn't matter when you have a 2.0 KD. Absolutely stunning stats from Muskingum tonight. Kettering has a lot of work to do on map number 2.
Oh, yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of room for improvement coming in from Kettering. And I think the big thing is being the tempo setter. I think that's honestly the biggest thing, because what I have found is that when you are able to, and for those who play competitive, pay attention, when you can kind of shut down that fast pacedness of Muskingum and you can put a stop to those rush plants, right? Those rush plants, which Muskingum likes to play, that's a free round. Right? If you can force Muskingum to slow down, that's where the cracks start to form. And for teams that struggle to do that, which we kind of saw with Kettering's slower play style, that kind of goes out the window and makes for a big struggle. So this is kind of where the adaptation comes in, the adjustment. Because you got to keep in mind, as we go into Nighthaven's labs, from my data on the map bands, this is not Kettering's pick. Cafe Dostoyevsky was. We are now in Muskingum's territory. So when I say shut down, I mean really, put your foot down on how Muskingum likes to play. If you can't adjust to that play style, whether it's through utility or play style or what have you, it's going to be a world of hurt. So that's going to be the challenge coming up from Kettering.
And yeah, that'll take us to our player to watch, which is Matt Mack from Kettering, a 66, well, almost 66 siege player rating with a 14-5 kill death ratio on Nighthaven Labs. It looks like one map's worth of stats and 1.17 kills per round and a 58% survival rate. So Kettering University, while they aren't really preferred on Nighthaven Labs, this not being their specific map pick, they do clearly have a player who likes to play on this map, and that is going to be Matt Mack. And I am curious as to how they're going to how they're going to hold up against Muskingum, because Muskingum, like we said, has put up a blistering pace for Kettering to keep up with, and they just haven't looked like they had the endurance to do so. On Nighthaven Labs, Kettering is going to start on the defense, and depending on how the first few rounds go and how they're able to hold on to Muskingum's blistering attack pace, well, it's all going to be decided. I think it's all going to be decided in the first few rounds here, just because of the way the last matchup went and how defense is really where you have to make your stronghold. We're going to see some attacker bans. I'm expecting a Monty because of how Monty can take control of those rafters in Warehouse and a bunch of other locations. Animus entry. It's going to be the Blitz, which we did see played by Muskingum a couple of times. We're not entirely surprised to see because the shield nerf hasn't really gone through fully yet. And that is the first operator off the board.
I'm not surprised in the slightest Kettering went for the Blitz ban. Again, it's going to be those kind of aggressive operators that we're going to see out the window. Blitz did a lot of damage on Kettering's attack or defense, which they really can't afford, since if you're going to play a slower tempo, that's going to be naturally your strong suit. So for Kettering, it's going to be picking up as many defenses round as possible with little interruption. Muskingum going to be going for the Ying ban, which I'm a bit surprised by. I feel like they have enough violence in their step to be able to deal with an operator like that, but again, she is oppressive. I get it. I see that. And same with Fenrir. You know, he can be a big pain in the neck. You know, you're trying to take space and then all of a sudden you can't see anything. Again, this is where the playstyles from these two teams really come to light and the adaptations from how the first round breaks down. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something like a Valkyrie ban, but instead we'll see the Mira. Still makes sense. We saw that kind of play it safe ban last time, and I wouldn't expect anything different because I have seen, even with these changes to make Mira more counterable, I've seen some pretty disgusting and disrespectful plays coming from Mira that strays far from the norm.
Oh, definitely. This is almost exactly the same ban lineup from last game as well, swapping out the Tokebi for the Blitz, because I think Kettering remembered, oh, right, shield operators exist, and Muskingum made them remember that. So I'm not at all like a totally surprising ban list here, but I'm interested to see. I want to ask Muskingum later why they choose to go for this Ying and Fenrir ban combination, possibly because Fenrir is counter to a lot of their more aggressive play style, which would be my biggest guess. But then, yeah, I wonder where that idea comes from, because now you're still leaving up the Azami as an option, which Arc Badman has in his hands right now. And with that Azami player being available, you have to start questioning, like, where does the aggression from Muskingum come into? Is Azami going to be able to shut things down early enough to make sure that Muskingum can't breach into the site, can't take a lot of these more crucial points? Nighthaven Labs on second floor, you have your IT wall, you have your connector wall, and into electrical, that's pretty key points to open up. But when you have Azami, an operator that can extend the defenses pretty easily, it does make you wonder, like, how well you're going to be able to handle getting into those points of entry. Cheese Girl is going to be the one first aggressing over by the meeting side, and now wall is going to be opened up, so this is the first kind of point of defense. But this is Arc Badman sitting inside a connector. Maybe some intel wasn't pulled out there, or the wall. No, I think it actually was shot through the wall. Arc Badman just had the better angle on it, and that's your ace player down, as well as your gridlock. Wow. 2 players down for Muskingum. Kettering adapting rather well, it seems, to the mistakes that they had made in the last game, off the back of this Azami already.
And this is a great adaptation coming in from Kettering. This was kind of what I was talking about here. Don't give Muskingum any quarter, because if you do, they will take that and they will open that opportunity in ways you couldn't possibly imagine. And we're seeing just a little speck of that. Lucci already into warehouse balcony. That's a big position to give up on the side of Kettering. But the question is, how much impact will that have? So far, not too much, as Lucci is going to take a significant amount of damage. Try to go for the toesies just a little bit, but can only bring Mac down to 55 HP. That's less than half, but still not enough to be really anything meaningful considering the stakes in this situation here. Down to 3 players, 2 of which are at very low HP. This is a big slowdown coming in for Muskingum as they struggle to make ground. And as Looks like Cryan might be going for potentially a flank here as well. This is just a very tough pill to swallow right now.
Bones has made his way into IT as well, but it's not a whole lot of space to work with. Smoke grenade goes out from Lucci, but Lucci is on 13 HP and facing the breach here from Warehouse. Does manage to find Arc Badman, so it's not a flawless round, at least from the defense, but Chop will cut down to Reserve and Lucci, the names claimed here, leaving only Bones in IT wall. They can go in through the Warehouse side, but they have 4 defenders to worry about watching all angles. Actually, not even aware that Bones is here. Kind of picks up one for free, but that might be the only one that they get a Constellation kill. Drop down to 70 HP, Bones with 2! How on earth? The pistol comes out, and the M5 was looking a little bit scary for Muskingum, or for Kettering there for a bit, but they managed to hold their defenses back together and win a more comfortable round.
We called it, folks. That's what we're talking about. That's what Kettering needs to keep up. And that's a very good start going for Kettering, because now it shows that Muskingum is forced to take an uncomfortable truth, which is that they can't really steamroll like they did in the last map. There's not the level of flexibility that you have on Cafe when it comes to maneuverability, when it comes to your top down. You don't have those kind of options at your disposal, at least not without a lot more time being taken. It's a bigger map and just being overall more challenging in order to accomplish when it comes to just the logistical challenges that come with, you know, such undertakings of control and roam clearing. So this is where Kettering honestly has the best chance to kind of go against the grain and bring it into a map 3.
It's a good start. And with the Tuberau Kite combination, they'll be looking to defend a lot of these walls on the basement site. This could be something that will go even more into being able to stall out the aggressive attacks from Muskingum. I do see the Monty in Cheese Curl's hands as well, which makes me believe that this is going to be something where they try to take it a little more laterally. But I don't know if you noticed, but Derp had been opening up some sight holes into the floor, which can be held from that first floor, which is storage room. So I was getting the name. I was going to say game, but it's going to be storage room upstairs. But here we are, already with that space that Muskingum is so good at taking. Look at how much Cheese Girl's been afforded the ability to walk into sight through Animus Wall and plant in the default plant site. A C4 goes out and kills Cheese Curl at the absolute death of the plant going down. Even though they get the first kill, Kettering have found their footing. Arc Badman, though, loses all of it as they're knocked down onto the floor. In the 3v3 situation, Muskingum's pace is being absolutely punished here. Sure, they may have been able to get into the site, but with that C4 being absolutely crucial and knocking down the Monty, it's a 4v1 again, and Reserve is the last one standing for Muskingum. Arc Batman's also been picked back up, so you do have 4 guns facing down this position, and with only Reserve with a great shot though. Cryan's head has disappeared into the ether. And upstairs hold from Solus.
Indeed it has. Yeah, and now with a 1v3, Arc Batman now down to 20 HP. This is looking a little bit more doable, but still definitely in a rock and a hard place. Just has to find that opening. Looking for someone to get potentially a little bit too aggressive here. And there's that swing. Misses the shot. Still has some time here, some opportunity. Starts to push up, spots him on the prone, goes for the shot before it's going to be able to catch him. Takes a little bit of damage, down to 92. And here comes the swing from the wall. Knows that there's one close by, but how close does she know? And does finally catch him out. This is a big turnaround. This could be a massive upset for Kettering fans here, as now it's a 1v1. Arc Badman still above, but you gotta keep in mind that Solus, she will be able to spot the plant, but keep in mind, she doesn't really have the ability and the time to spot it like she used to. Does find that diffuse, gonna be now looking to try to test that from the vertical, but can she do it? No, she cannot. Diffuse are gonna go down. This is a big disadvantage for Kettering, as now Arc Badman has to move all the way downstairs with a health disadvantage, and with those prone holes, Reserve gonna be with one to save the day for Muskingum. The aggression still has a place for them. They're going nowhere, folks.
I was holding my head in awe. I mean, I know that production can see the player cams. You guys can't. I was absolutely in shock that Reserve was able to actually walk out of Animus into sight, pick up the case, and nobody from Kettering was able to re-swing that. I think So obviously all the props to Reserve, right? Reserve pulling off the 1v4 clutch from an absolutely unwinnable position to get the plant down against a Solus who has been severely nerfed, and then win the 1v1 off of the holes that have been made by the defense. You know, absolutely brilliant play. Reserve deserved every bit of it for how well they played. But you really have to scratch your head for Kettering there, because Reserve walks into Animus, nobody makes the call. They're all waiting for that case to be planted because they're so scared of making the proactive play. Then Reserve spots the player who's sitting inside of Nano behind one of those desks there, and when the shots go out, I'm surprised that the player who's sitting inside of Assembly doesn't swing with it. There's like a bit of a disconnect in terms of the teamwork there that allows Muskingum to win that round. And a round on attack on any map, basically any map right now, aside from I think Border's the only one that's slightly more attacker sided, is absolutely crucial. The pace that you have to slow down, like Kettering has to slow down from Muskingum. It was done. You were in a 4v1. You were basically sold, but as soon as you allow a Muskingum player to get space, like Reserve was in that round, that is where you start to fall apart. And when Reserve is able to get all of those isolated 1v1s, you have to start scratching your head at, like, where is Kettering's follow-up for that? So, I mean, really well played by Reserve, but a bit of a failure on the teamwork from Kettering's part, in my opinion.
I definitely think there was some pitfalls in not, shutting that out and preventing her from being able to push out from beyond that choke point, because that's a really big choke point to have, especially when there were really no other options to work with. But the passiveness, it was just a little bit too much. And oh no, that's not a good start.
No.
Matt going down. That's going to be due to Cheese Curl. We'll be able to take that. And we're already seeing immediate basement presence coming in from Muskingum, coming in from Cheese Curl. This is that aggression that's so dangerous. The pushback coming in from first floor, not going very well. Reserve down to 19 HP, but not before taking another down. That's gonna be Arc bad, man. Zmar taking one, and they're already on site. 1 minute and 39 seconds. Muskingum, you can't do this to Kettering, but they're doing it anyway. Diffuser's already down. You still have a player above, and that's gonna be Crying, who now has to deal with Reserve just to get down to the basement. Nate going out, almost walks right into it. That would have been disappointing, but still keeps it alive. Nitro goes out, not going to be able to connect, but this does give a little bit of fighting power as positions are limited, but Chop will get caught out. That's going to be thanks to Zmark going on a blistering 3K there. Now, Crying will be the last one to have to make their way down and dies to the stings. Oh, no, Muskingum. What are you doing to Kettering? This is a big turnaround coming for them. They figured out how to push through the utility, make space, and boy, it is deadly.
I think a lot of that also comes down to Muskingum's information game in that round. You saw the player of, I think it was Reserve, who was on the Finca again inside of Cafeteria, catches one player rotating by vending, and then while they're inside of the kitchen area, they're able to have Zmart rotate on the player that's aggressing them behind the kitchen counter. It's just really solid intel game from Muskingum, and they're not pulling any punches. I think what I've really enjoyed seeing from Muskingum is that they're like, hey, this is a piece of information that we have. We're going to act on it immediately, and it's paying in dividends for them. Like, they're winning that round. Was if the last round was really close because Reserve was able to win a 1v1 situation from what was initially a 1v4 off of some really good aggressive play, Muskingum runs away with that one by comparison by acting immediately on the intel that they're given, on the intel that they have. Now, the Maverick holes being opened up in the wall and catching Mac early in the round was a little bit unfortunate, of course. That's something that you can't always prepare for because Maverick doesn't really have any solid counters. It's been a thing that's been said about Maverick for 6 years or however long that operator, I think it's been 6 years, however long the operator's been out for. But you're still seeing it be used to maximum efficacy there, and it kicks off what Muskingum need to do. They know they have a player down on site. Okay, now let's just clear out the roam. And they do it admirably. So now they've pushed Kettering onto the second floor again. But look at this. It's the Monty taking control over by CC Stairs. Now, Kettering, they have to try and find more creative ways to rotate back on the site and catch this attack, which might be from Mac, sitting with the SMG-11 down below. Arc Batman is the first one to fall. One is traded back by Chop somewhere else by Bones. Or Bones on the Monty actually is the next one to die, which is a little bit unexpected when you have a bulletproof shield in front of you. But a 4v4 situation quickly turns into a 4v2. 2 quick kills back and forth. This beautiful hole that is down below. C4 flies out to catch the last player on top of CC stairs. We've seen it in a 1v4 before, but that's not reserved. That's Cheese Curl. Their head has been removed by the MP5. And a round win goes the way of Kettering as they manage to deal with the aggression this time.
There's the pushback we love to see. That's the activity that I have come to expect from Kettering. Matt Mack coming down from below and setting that beautiful line of sight from below. This is exactly the kind of punishment you have to lay out on the Muskingum. Slow them down and then hit them where it hurts. That choke point, being able to set that on the spot and take advantage to that great of an effect, that is a strength. That is a boon going to Kettering big time. This is what they have to keep a firm hold of. And we're even seeing a little bit of a double down on that, considering now we got two trap operators. Hello. You got Dirk with the Frost. You got Cryan with the Cap Can. Now, let me ask you this, Kai. How much impact do you think that's going to have? We've seen Muskingum do Kettering dirty with that Cap Can, and now Kettering in turn is doubling down with the Frost as well. Are we going to see a lot of impact out of that? Or is Muskingum not going to fall for their own tricks?
I feel like Muskingum's intel game has been so strong in these rounds that they're not going to fall for the tricks that they have set up for themselves. That being said, though, if Muskingum are a little bit too aggressive on the attack, which you can be with the Ash, you can be with really any of these operators, they could get caught unawares. And even if they're not caught unawares, one of the things that these trap operators do so well is waste time. And that's what Kettering needs to do. They need to buy themselves time in whatever way they possibly can to slow the roll of Muskingum. We do see the ram of Cheese Curl going up onto the meeting floor here, which is right above the site. It's important to do. You know, you have your verticality on any map, really, and that is one of the key points to deal with. Reserve also joining in on the side of the stairs there. Z-Mark. I love Muskingum's positioning here, actually. All of the pinch that they're able to create by having 2 players upstairs in terms of your soft reach and then the other 3 players here on this wall. Lucci wants to go for the wall, but this Maestro Cam is playing. Oh no, he lost the Maestro Cam. That's unfortunate. Arc Batman's not going to have that utility available anymore, so all they can do is sit and listen. Some impact EMPs go out, but they don't quite catch the kite claw. They don't know where it is. It's actually been placed off to the side. This utility placement by Chomp has denied their ability to open one of the main walls, so this might be the slowdown that they need.
Ooh, what a shot. And wait a minute. I think there's someone on site right now. Yeah, there is. Z-Mart's on site right now. And now Kettering's going to have to force to come back to site to deal with this one rogue player. And now Muskingum's taking advantage of it. This is that rogue walk-in that can be so dangerous. Arc Batman catches 1, takes 2. That's going to be the Nomad player down. This is huge pressure relief coming in from Kettering. A great walk-in from the side of Kettering, and Arc Batman, the star player this round. And that, even though it's going to be a one-person disadvantage, this is a huge buffer that Kettering sorely needed there after a very unexpected walk-in, and great adaptability coming in from Kettering. And Dirt to take reserve as well. I guess the trap ops ain't really going to have that much of an impact, but it doesn't really matter when you're fundamentally able to kind of push back against Muskingum with such veracity. This is going so well, but now there's still another push to be had. This is where Kettering will be able to turn it back around into a round lead, but Arc Batman doesn't catch the cross. Lucci to take him out, but Derp does manage to take 1. There's the final fight, and Lucci's not ready for it as Derp will swing from the door, turning it to Kettering's advantage.
Derp, the absolute hero of the round, collecting 3 there. First was the breach charge that they heard upstairs. That was initially set there by Kettering to be able to plant on the breach and then have an angle from upstairs to deny anybody who had been on the plant. But Derp had other plans. You get... I think someone might call that a bit of a lucky shot through the floor, because I was not expecting that to be a headshot at all, but it was, and that's all that matters. That's the first bit that Kettering needs to stave off the defense. And when Derp swings around the door, Bones is unaware of him in the hallway, and then you have the Thermite of Lucci, who's sitting in the way back corner, back by in the back of cafeteria. And when you have sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. But when you have Derps able to swing Cafeteria hallway to cut down the player who's sitting in the back of Cafeteria, that timing is just what you need for Muskingum to lose all the momentum that they had, and Kettering is steadfast in holding their defenses together. Even without the trap operators, you still have, you can't count out the gun ability of these players, and they're showing that in spades. Derp 7 and 2, 3 of those gathered last round, but still extremely crucial in guaranteeing that Kettering, at the end of this half, the worst they can come off now is a 3-3 scoreline, not even on their own map pick now. They've won more rounds in this game than they won on their own map pick, if that says anything about the adaptation that they've had in this game.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is kind of the, this kind of momentum conversation that we've been talking about so much here, coming into truly the full swing. But I feel like if Muskingum can adapt, where their pushes are coming from and just have a tighter grip on the map control, which so far they've been pretty loose cannon with it, and that's where they've been getting hit hard. That's where they're going to be able to come back around. But third time's the charm for Kettering, as they are on basement. Muskingum not really going for as aggressive of an approach, although we are already seeing a push towards Armory Stairs, which could prove quite dangerous if Kettering isn't ready for it. But again, lose control over the map. We do have a gridlock, but I think that there's still way too much opportunity for Kettering to be able to whip around and get some big impact out of it. We do see now the gridlocks going down, starting to see some first floor clear, but only time will tell how effective this is really going to be. Although you've got the majority of players down on site over in basement. I think that's actually everyone. So that is an advantage that Muskingum has, keeping all these players containerized. But who's to say how well that will actually go for Muskingum?
The floors of storage and gaming will become saint-like, holy, if you will, thanks to the buck on this upstairs floor. 5-5, we've seen this happen before on Cafe, where if the roll is slowed a little bit and there's still 5 operators left, but as I speak, I have Caster cursed Lucci to their own death. Brian is the one to strike on those bending stairs and goes back down without being traded back either. Now, Muskingum, they realized that their lateral takes weren't working quite as well. Z-Mark tries to trade one back as Mac gets 2 on the stairs. Bones, next one to be made into Bones of their own. But at Muskingum, they realized that their direct takes weren't working quite as well, and so they're trying to go with something a little more utility, a little more anti-roam heavy. So that's why you see the Dokebi and the Jackal. You see the Buck and the Zofia to try and open up the floors a little bit more, and it's just not working out. There's only 20 seconds left. The Jackal scans go out, so it gets a kill for a reserve onto Mac, but there's not a lot of time for Muskingum to work with now, and they have so much more work to do. Sure, they have plenty of drones out, but they have like no time to use them. A Tuber Outcaster goes out to slow down the players. There's a Legion sitting around the corner. The reserve does get 1. Cheese Curl gets 2. Hold on, it's only Chop sitting in the back corner here with the MP7, but they drop the player with the diffuser, and all he has to do is hide for the last few split seconds. Kettering wins the round by the skin of their teeth, but it's a round win all the same that has them on the advantage on the defensive half as they go now 4-2.
Wow, way to put the choke on choke point from Kettering. That I'm telling you, this is where the strength comes in. The ability to lock out these power positions away from Muskingum is such a big advantage to them. This is what they've done so well, being able to prevent Muskingum from taking these big key positions. And that we got to talk about that walk up coming in from Lucci on those stairs. They had the gridlock stingers on there, the track stingers. You gotta hear that. You gotta be ready for it. When you have all players on basement, there's gotta be a level of suspicion that there's going to be a walk-up. Because why wouldn't you take advantage of a choke point if that means slowing down Kettering by any means? And any means, they got multiple, in fact. We saw the reswing even coming in from Mac. And also, it was not Lucci. I'm sorry. It was, I believe it was Cryan who did that walk-up over from Statue Stairs or Exo Stairs. But either way, such a big advantage. But with the half being over, that opportunity is now down and out. And second floor, this is where we see if Muskingum can replicate a similar result or not.
All depend on the utility use. I do see the Deimos being brought out here, something that Muskingum had strayed away from. And something that's really important to note about this command center bomb site is that a lot of the floor is pretty soft. So if there's anybody anchoring inside of sight, like we've seen Kettering do quite frequently, that's going to be a pretty big advantage for Muskingum. That being said, this deployable shield here is causing a lot of grief for both these players. The Deimos falls. Zmart holds the position steadfastly as Arc Batman and Dirt both fall to the 9mm C1 in Frost's hands. And even though, again, a trap operator, you're still effective with your rifle, and Muskingum taking the aggression to these players. Zmart not at all afraid of that grenade. I think what happened there was both the Kettering players, they threw out a nade and they're like, all right, we're going to clear out this deployable shield because we think that there's a player here. When they don't see Zmart rotate back into meeting like they're expecting, because I believe that was the wide angle that they were holding, they think, okay, the player's probably rotated back downstairs and it's clear to go through here. And you lose Derp. Arc Badman tries to re-peek to refrag his teammate, and Zmart is just on top of it. So push this into a 5v3, make that a 5v2 as Cryan is blown sky high by the C4 of Lucci. Only have Matt Mac and Chop, the tried and true duo, Thatcher and Thermite, to close this round out. But I would say that their chances are looking pretty slim, Pearson. What do you say?
This is definitely a rough situation because Kettering is not the team to try to go for these, big hero plays. That's not really what their playstyle is dictated by. So I do think there's a lot of trouble, especially considering how badly split up both Matt Mac and Chop are right now. They'd have to make massive grounds in order to get big impact. Oh, and as I say that, they do meet up, but SMF Bones to take Matt Mac, leaving them all alone with the danger that is Zmart. But Chop gonna call it out, able to catch it. But 45 seconds is still quite a lot of time. But that doesn't mean that time's exactly on your side. You gotta watch out for the aggression, which we've seen early in the round. And now it's a mind game because Muskingum is not making any moves onto Chop, just letting him walk into any one of multiple Doom lines of sights that are available. And we're going to see him possibly walk into one of those, and there it is. Lucci still holding from below to take Chop out for a clean sweep first round of the second half, coming into Muskingum.
Muskingum's setup there was impressive, to say the least, and Kettering seemed to have just walked right into it. Zmart playing on the top of those meeting side stairs, and not expecting him to rotate just onto the stairs and have that wide angle onto the doorway, definitely was the first step that caused the domino effect of them falling apart on that round. But when you're not expecting a player to be standing on top of those stairs and then you get hit by a C4 from Lucci, it does make you wonder on what Kettering... It does make you wonder if Kettering has done a whole lot of work in between maps here to shore up the biggest weakness that they had on the attack inside of Cafe that we saw, and that was their intel game. It feels like they were partially unaware or not fully prepared for the way that these players are going to be playing, and from there, their ill preparedness caused their downfall. Like, they walked into things they shouldn't have been. The C4, you're walking into a Valkyrie, and then you have the shotgun holes through the floor, which weren't even being looked at. I guess it makes sense, right? Like, you still have 4 players left on the side of Muskingum, and you have to play horizontally before you can worry about shotgun holes below you. But a lot of that did communicate to me that Kettering was caught unaware by a lot of the positions that Muskingum were holding, and/or Muskingum's setup was just unlike anything that Kettering had seen before. Now, we do see a little bit of aggression here. Derp has popped open the command center stairs door and is starting to sprint in to clear out some of this roam game, but the site is downstairs inside a basement. They have all of the work to do to clear out these defenders.
And indeed, there is quite a lot of work that's going to have to be done here. I mean, you see Muskingum is just spread all over the place, not taking a particular hold onto anchoring. I mean, you've got so many players. Even the anchors, right? You've got SMF Bones looking for one from Warehouse. Just a very aggressive composition, but with minimal gains from Kettering so far. Not even much building presence at all. It seems like the scare of the Muskingum swing is very real. And this is where it comes down to trying to locate these players and get an effective top down. But if you're going to go for that, it means moving fast, and they do get a lot of valuable information, but oh, not Lucci though. They don't get the spot on her. She'll be able to clean up Chop, but not before a very prompt refrag coming in from Derp onto Lucci. That's going to bring it back, but there's the walk up. I'm telling you, those exo stairs are scary. Oh, and 2 more coming in. Oh my gosh, a sweep from Muskingum as the roam finally settles in. The top down, not quite having the veracity that Kettering was looking for, as now it is a 1v3 or 4, I'm sorry, and there is no space. All territory has been lost, all but a breach. It's going to come down to getting this first pick and trying to find a walk-in. And with 3 flashes at hand, there's still a way to slice and dice. You've got to find the first one. Mac now down to 41 HP. Not looking too great here on the health side of things. Just needs to get that one pick. Zmar down to 1 bullet to bring him down, but just can't do it. And here comes the aggression coming in. The flashbangs coming out, but so far just can't find an opening. This is not looking too great for Muskingum. Or I'm sorry, for Kettering so far.
And it won't. Zmart, even though he only had 9 HP remaining, is not afraid to pre-fire and take all the aggressive angles. Mac finally meeting his demise at the end of the cap can there. And I noticed at the end of the round that Kettering only had 1 drone remaining at the very end of the round. Muskingum has been doing incredible work in clearing out the intel game from Kettering and shutting it down to bring things back to an even 4-4 round count. Something from Kettering's philosophy as well. You saw the Dokebi, you saw the IQ, you saw the Buck, and the Thermite. These are all operators that say, I want to try and play the utility game and do a little bit of everything. So you have Dokebi for the roam clear, you have Buck for the top-down roam presence, you have your Thermite to try and open the more direct side, and a lot of these operators are individually good, but I don't think that they all work together in a cohesive, this is what our team comp needs to be, and I think they get punished for it, because when their attentions are so split between a bunch of different tasks, that's when Muskingum's able to then take advantage of it by having the Valkyrie available, by having all of this roam presence available, because now Muskingum, they can take advantage of the fact that the attention is basically split by Kettering. Cheese Girl has found a friend, little drone upstairs.
I think he's just playing with his food. Look at him. Having a little ball there, ain't you, Cheese Curl? Alright, now shoot the drone and let's get this party started, alright? But,
yeah,
I mean, I think this kind of also shows a totally different vibe. You know, this is kind of what Muskingum does. They're always big chilling. Unless things kind of get on the rough side of things, they're usually not too spooked about what's going on. And it seems like the round differential so far, which at this point is now 0, hasn't really phased them, and it kind of speaks a lot to the level of confidence that Muskingum has. It's not forced, it's all natural, and it's just part of their just general gameplay. And that's kind of an important element, is being able to keep a natural level of confidence. And speaking of which, Zmar feeling emboldened to sweep things on Derp, but Derp not having any of it will be able to take that pick over by Electrical. That's going to be a big elimination here. But we're seeing a lot of surrounding presence coming in from Kettering, looking to take reserve. But is he going to get out? He does, and gets away with taking Cryan down as well. Oh, but he's not done yet. She's looking for more blood here over by Command Center. And she's going to double down with a power position and a Kiba barrier to back it up as well.
4-4 and an Azami to worry about with half the round to go. Muskingum bringing their aggression, their key aggression, to this defense. Kettering, I mean, it's 4-4. It's 4-4 on the round count. have to be worried about how this one resolves, because we'll get to that all-important 5 rounds. Dirt is the next one to fall. Reserve with this 9x19. These are zombie barriers. Even though they've been nerfed time and time again, you can't nerf the operator standing behind him. Reserve makes it 3 on this round and makes life an absolute hell for the remaining players of Kettering. Sure, you might have the Dokebi and the Nook to be able to clear out the roam, and you have to land the shots, which you eventually do. You're still at a man disadvantage. You don't have the utility for breaching into sight. Cheese Curl is to add on to the miseries here. Does eventually get dropped by Arc Badman, but Arc Badman has to play. Whoa! Was that a soul raid? Did he hear Lucy think a little bit too loud? At any rate, Bones is the last one standing now for Muskingum, after what looked like a really impressive play off of Reserve's 3K on the second floor. But this is a pulse down below. With only 20 seconds left on time, Arc Badman, if they haven't droned this operator out, they have to be so well aware of it. They have to go on to one of these counters here, and I don't think they're on it. I think they're just on the floor outright. A C4 will go out, but it misses. How did the shot miss? Wait, Arc Badman actually gets the diffuser down. How does that even happen? I don't think it was too close exactly to the desk. A safe spot.
I think it was too close to the desk. I think that's what happened. Oh no! And now we're in potential throw territory for Muskingum. Obviously, they played this very well, but I mean, they're so unfortunate now having to push through, and they know where SMF Bones is. That's going to be from that drone. Has to take this one or go for the counter defuse. Oh my gosh, the Goyle does manage to hit it off. Oh, but the rotate from Arc Badman. No, that's got to be so disappointing for Muskingum. All they needed was that nitro, and that was their round, but just barely missed it. Gotta love the explosive dynamics of this game, huh?
You definitely do. I mean, I'm surprised that Lucci sitting in this strange off angle in warehouse actually does end up falling to the Nook. I would like to watch that back and check their PC to see where that shot, that read had even come from. But Kettering, despite being knocked down to very slim man counts, is able to pull it off with the Nook and Dokebi and gets the plant down because of some of the obstacles that were in the way in the storage room. That just has to feel bad. That has to feel like, oh, Siege isn't working today. But another thing that I wanted to point out from that last round that really didn't work in Muskingum's favor was the fact that the Pulse had the M10 as the primary, so you couldn't contend angles with the you had to work with the pistol, and I think that the lower rate of fire made the Pulse player a little bit more hesitant to take the shots on the Nook, and because of that, they lose out on the angle. They're not able to re-aggress quite as easily to find the player with a gun that would be more effective at range and more effective just overall with a higher fire rate. So it feels like a cacophony of errors from Muskingum that Kettering were very apt at capitalizing on, and that's what gets them to 5-4, and again, 1 round away from match point. That being said, though, Muskingum's not very far behind. If they win this round, which they've looked very apt at doing so far because they've been at the advantage since the defensive round started. They've been more in control. But Kettering, they are another collection of errors away from getting themselves onto this match point, and I'm a little scared for what Muskingum's chances look like now.
Yeah, so far their initial entries just haven't been the cleanest, but their turnarounds have been extremely strong, which I think is something that is a bit unexpected there. You know, once things kind of settle, they've shown that they can pull through methodically. It can work, although maybe not as consistently as they'd like, but it's still keeping them in the game to a pretty significant margin. But you got to keep in mind that ever since the second half, they've only won 1 round, and that's kind of a scary, situation for them, with Muskingum slowly but surely creeping up. And this is kind of where now is the time to show that consistency and being able to hold back Muskingum, especially players like Zbar and Loki, who love to punish from below or do their infamous walk-ups. And this is where you have to err on the side of caution here and try to make every pick count. as Cryan is already down. That's going to be a player disadvantage off the rip. Still got players going from below. That's going to be Lucci. Zmart already looking to play aggressive, takes it down. The shotgun getting Arc Badman down. That is a dangerous corridor to walk down. You cannot hold that close to electrical, and that is going to be a 2v5. I think it's just not the right shots being called as far as positioning on Kettering here. That's kind of bringing things down just a bit. And now they've got to deal with the player from below and try to make something happen here and catch somebody. And Matt does manage to do that, taking Z-Mart. Oh no, Lucci couldn't find a bit of damage on the Mac, which really only needed like 1 or 2 bullets, but just couldn't really secure it. But here comes the other swing on the vertical. Again, just a little bit of damage, Lucci. But that is going to allow Kettering to walk in a bit deeper. That could be a big advantage. However, Reserve is not having any of that counter swing to shut down Mac. Now with 6 seconds to go, going to have to walk through the fire, but not before SMF Bones shuts it down, bringing it back to an even split again.
Zmart was the one to start off the killing for Muskingum, and that sent Kettering reeling at the end there. I think that after the first kill went the way of the defense, Kettering were pushed off balance, and Muskingum took advantage of that and kept pushing until there was nothing left of the attack. Something that I've also noticed from Muskingum is that they like to have Lucci sitting downstairs. I believe it's Lucci sitting downstairs and vending, looking up onto that hallway that's inside a meeting. And that makes me wonder what Kettering is up to in terms of being able to clear out some of these roam plays that Muskingum have played and how prepared they really are for labs. When it's Muskingum's map pick, sure, the round count is directly even, but in the rounds that Muskingum have won, they've looked a lot more in control, I would say, than Kettering. Even though you did have the 1 round from reserve, but we'll count that as also as like a statistical anomaly. Pound for pound, on the rounds that Muskingum have won, they have looked more in control. Kettering, in the rounds that they've won, have looked a little bit more like, okay, we've pieced something together and actually won this overall. And that makes me think that that has to come down again to more of the intel game from Kettering. Muskingum is setting up better roams, they're setting up more aggressively, they're playing in a way that Kettering, at a pace that Kettering is still not really prepared for. And as I say, the pacing, Derp is the first one to fall, a C4 to claim the last bit of HP. You didn't really have to go and do all that, but Zmart does anyway because he is built different. Playing all this cap can again. And I wonder if Kettering's going to be expecting this cap can, because that was something that we saw being a little bit too effective on Cafe. Labs is another map that can catch you off guard. We'll see. Do you think there'll be a cap can kill this round?
I would be highly surprised. And oh, there's the nitro. Lucci loves her nitros, and there it is, catching one from below. I'm really surprised that no one from Kettering has tried to target this player. Lucci's had way too much impact from below to not be addressed in some capacity, but I guess that's not Kettering's main prerogative, and that's going to put them down to a 3v5. But either way, I mean, it's still a winnable situation. I don't think they're going to walk into Capcan. I mean, look at the way that Cryan is navigating these halls. They're very aware and paranoid, especially right now where you can't really afford another player loss, especially when you got Nitro on the board. You've got to be meticulous here. There is still time on your side. The call coming in just in time, but Zmart doesn't care. He's going to play aggressive, swing the way he wants it, and boy, BK, have it your way, and look at that. Zmart got it their way. And now, looking at Lucci, here comes the slow walk up, and oh, Lucci will be the one with the advantage, catching Mac completely off guard, trying to play it slow. Here comes a refrag. That's going to come from Chop. Does pull through, but Zmart with the 3K. He wants more. He's hungry. He's got the munchies for some picks, and there it is.
Well, that first kill onto Derp, before they had even entered the map, will initiate the Kettering timeout at the absolute death of the match. Match point, Muskingum threatening to take this series away 2-0. Kettering looking a little bit better on this map. Despite what my criticisms that I have levied at them in my casting, I do think that Kettering has done a lot better in trying to adapt to the aggression from Muskingum. And we saw that in some of the earlier rounds, especially on their defensive half, where they took it 4-2. But now they've lost 4 rounds on the attack themselves. And they've now let Muskingum pass them in round count to get to that match point. And I think what has happened is that Kettering got a little bit too comfortable and they thought we can play back the same way that we did before. And Muskingum has kept up that pace. That's what I think is happening this time. Kettering is trying to readjust and reevaluate the way that they've been both attacking and defending, but attacking in this sense because that's the half that they're on now. To say like, hey, look, they're still playing the really aggressive ways. We have to be ready for that. We have to bring out operators that are here to counter that specific set of strategies. And I'm curious to see how the lineup goes to deal with the way that Muskingum has been playing so far. And yeah, Deimos and Jackal, take out the roam. Why not?
Oh, I like the clash. I love it. I this kind of tickles my troll bone just a little bit, but I love to see the clash, and I can't wait to see what they do with her, because it always goes one of two ways. Either she is completely useless, or leaves the other team inexplicably angry in frustration, and I'm so for it. Bring it on. You know, we've seen teams in the past make great effect of clash. In fact, I do believe, and correct me if I'm mistaken, I believe this is how Bolo and I believe Bolo on Dark Zero actually utilized Clash in Villa second floor to actually win a major or something like that. You might have the scoop on that, Kai, more than I do, but I do remember that Clash does have presence in Pro League. Not again! This time from Cheese Curl with a shotgun spawn peek. Come on, that's just dirty Muskingum.
I'm surprised that Kettering hasn't expected it yet, and that's a Dokebi that you've lost. Now, Dokebi has gotten nerfed in recent patches as well, where she has to charge up her phone calls over the course of the round. But regardless of that, considering that you're trying to pair this with a Nook and a Jackal, Dokebi is such a crucial point, or such a crucial pairing for this specific attacking lineup. Chop is ready for more, nearly takes off the head of the player outside of the command center stairs door, but decides to back off from now. That's enough time wasted. You've wasted an operator anyway. You've done well. You've done what you need to. There's some Jackal scans going out on the players, so they'll have to retreat back to site, and they'll know exactly where they are. But even with them knowing where they are, Muskingum has so much capacity to have a significant roam presence. Like, how we see Zmar on the top floor with the Capcan. Is that Capcan with the sausage? Are my eyes deceiving me? It is the sausage. Oh
my
no.
gosh.
So you said your troll bone was tickled by the clash. I think the sausage Capcan is even more of a troll pick. Even though they have the wall into this server open from a connector side. Oh no, there's the sausage. It's wrung out. Has made mincemeat of Derp, and a C4 could go flying out the electrical door. It does. It doesn't claim any health though. But Mac is fighting for his life on all these angles. There are Muskingum players every way you look, and Cheese Curl gets another one on the round with the Boss G. Only 2 players for Kettering left remaining, and that's going to be your Nook and Ace, both players on negative KDs, and they will continue to be negative. Arc Madman, who had a decent cafe, will not be rounding out Labs in such a wonderful fashion. Mac on 18 HP, you've downed Lucci. But if that player gets picked up, Muskingum could potentially end this on a flawless round. Backed into cafeteria. All these players are hunting for him. And not to mention that you have to deal with a clash.
That's the best part. Oh, and Clash is looking. SMF Bones wants some of the action. Oh, but does narrowly miss her. And there's the swing on the reserves. Does manage to take that pick. Mac gonna bring reserve down. But it's still a 1v4, and Clash is gonna come a knocking. There she comes. Oh, but the ping does come out. They know where she is, but it doesn't matter. There she is, surprise! And Zmart, greedy as he is, will be the one to take the last pick. And with that, that puts Muskingum on top to advance.
Had to take all rounds of regulation to win it, but Muskingum on their map pick closes it out on Nighthaven Lambs in 7-5 fashion. Zmart the MVP, bringing 19 kills to the round, with the last bit being brought up by the sausage there. A very domineering performance, I would say, from Muskingum, with a couple of round slips, a couple of charity rounds, they might call it, towards Kettering, but very much proving themselves to be one of the best in the Midwest and very well deserving their advancement to the next round.
Oh yeah, Muskingum for quite a while now has been a heavy hitter, and they pulled no punches. But we got to give props to Kettering, though. Despite dealing with such a monolith when it comes to aggressive gunfighting and positioning, as well as, you know, when it comes to runouts and even spawn peaks, they still were able to pull several rounds despite those tribulations, which you got to give them props to that. But unfortunately, again, the attack just didn't really have that oppressive power that it needed. But we also got to talk about how much Luch was able to get away with from below. I mean, I get it. You're dealing with an aggressive team. You want all hands on deck to try to pinch these players out, but you can't let a player get away with something like that. That's kind of what makes, you know, attacking so difficult, but also borderline unwinnable without the proper adjustment. You can't let a player like that do so much impact. And I think there was a lot of rogue players on Muskingum's, and that Kettering just didn't do enough to clear out. They had a solid base, but they couldn't really push it the direction that it needed to go. And I think that ultimately was their downfall. But I mean, still really good fight coming out from them. But Muskingum, they do what they do best. They vibe out and they come out swinging. And that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, completely deserved 2-0 victory this evening. I don't think that we could have drawn it up a little bit differently if some of those rounds had gone another way. I mean, you consider the 4K that Reserve had in that 1v4 clutch that could have gone the way of Kettering, probably a round that would have made all the difference in the end of the game here. Now, that being said, the game, the result is the result. It's a 7-5. You take all rounds of regulation. You don't have to go to overtime at all. And yeah, Muskingum very much deserve their 2-0 win and their advancement to the next round. Man, before we close things off here for tonight, we might be having an interview. We'll double check on that, but we're being told by production we do have an interview. So we'll have that for you ready in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Tap, tap, yeah, I want that. No lines, I don't cut back. Sweet, salty, and all that. Let loose, come get that. Can you play that back, back, back? Can you run that back, back, back? I'm trying to play that back, back, back. I want that. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Right here, can you feel? Let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Right here, can you feel that? Ooh, you feel that? Ooh, the real back. Ooh, I'm still that. Ooh, you catch that? Ooh, I guess that. The best back. Yeah, yeah. 30,000 up, I'm a pilot. Might jump out if I'm wildin'. Catch my flow, I'm so stylish. Tap, tap, real smooth. Can you play that back, back, back? Can you run that back, back, back? I'm trying to play that back, back, back. I want that. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Right here, can you feel? Let's go. I'ma give it all I got, can't quit, can't stop. I'ma be shut it down like you ain't coming to my house, you ain't about what I'm about. Taking nothing. Defense wins games, whatever it takes. I bring it. Defense wins games, whatever it takes. I bring it. I'ma give it all I got, can't quit, can't stop. I'ma be shut it down like defense wins games, whatever it takes. I bring it out.
straight from IUPY. The flash comes out, trying to push out connector. I'm sorry. And now it's looking like a 1v right there, waiting for the drop. It go down. We'll see one. Push when they got him pushed back.
Gets another one. Gets another one.
And oh, they're gonna.
Beats.
But it feels weird because like in an eight, want to go fast. This game is going that kind of die.
Hey, connector, nice, good trade. IT still.
What? What's behind me?
Oh, two down, 1v1. Your Raptors is right now.
I think he's top waves.
Nice shit! Oh my god.
Dang,
good
okay, I
shit.
did down it.
Down to 15.
I'm reloading!
Jim.
Oh my god, placing
10
on the
seconds to go. One friendly remaining. Op 4 last stop standing.
Now.
There's two. Nice.
Nice. What? It's Logi.
Bedroom.
Logi, last one, Logi.
Yeah.
Time expires in 10 seconds. 5 seconds left.
Nice.
You are going to have 60 seconds to name from memory as many R6 operators as you possibly can. Do not repeat any, as they will not count in your final score. You are going to have 60 seconds on the clock, and best of luck.
Ash, Thermite, Pulse, Castle, Mute, Thatcher, Smoke, Sledge, Twitch, Montaigne, Rook, let's go, Twitch. I already named Twitch. Let's see, IQ, Blitz, Bandit, Jaeger, Blackbeard,
30
Valkyrie,
seconds.
Kavera, Capital, Mira, Jackal, Mozzie, Warden, Solus, Azami, Ram,
10
Brava,
seconds.
Ace.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Not fast.
You're good. Yeah, it's a lot tougher than people think, huh?
Yeah.
You got all
Yeah,
these
very
operators in the
much.
game, and it's tough to name them off in memory. You are gonna have 60 seconds to name from memory as many R6 operators as you possibly can. Do not repeat any, as they will not count in your final score. You are gonna have 60 seconds on the clock, and best of luck.
Alright, Ash, Thermite, Mute, Smoke, Castle, Pulse. We'll go Tuberow, Valkyrie, Blackbeard, Buck, Frost, Blitz, Jaeger, IQ, Bandits, Yana, Oryx. We'll go Cabrera, Capital, Habana, Echo, Jackal,
30
Mira.
seconds.
Then we have Ella, Ying, Legion, Zafia, Vigil, and Dokkaebi. And after that, we have Lion, Lion Finka, Maestro Alibi. Oh shoot! Then we have, who am I forgetting? Tachanka, Capcan,
5, 4,
Fuse,
3,
Fuse,
2.
Blaz. Oh.
That's it.
All right.
Well,
I tried to fire. That's
you
the big
tried to-
DLCs, bro. But then I couldn't think of who's after. Like, was it White Noises? Whenever I was like, oh god,
you were going through them real quick.
No list, no cheater, no cheater.
I think there was a list there. You were being a little too
Nah,
specific.
bro. We got Metal Eye here. Metal Eye's running just fine.
You are gonna have 60 seconds to name from memory as many R6 operators as you possibly can. Do not repeat any, as they will not count in your final score. You are gonna have 60 seconds on the clock, and best of luck.
Twitch, Thermite, Ash, Montang, Blitz, Falk, Blackbeard, Grim, Clash, Nook, Warden, Aruni, Azami, Gridlock, Mozzie, Goyo Amaru, Frost, Maru.
30
Buck.
seconds.
Be put on the spot here.
Oh no.
Vigil, Dokkaebi, Callie, Malusi,
Got
Ace.
10 seconds. Spitfire, you got 10
Pulse,
seconds.
Castle, Jaeger, Bandit.
3, 2, 1. That is it. It's tough, isn't it?
It's rough to be put on the spot.
It's tough. It's tough to
And
be
not
put on the
repeat it.
spot. And not repeat is especially worse. This one was meant to test your knowledge. See what you can remember in 60 seconds.
All right, and we are back, everyone, and we are here with the GOAT himself, Lucci Boy from Muskingum. So, how are you doing, Muskingum? Congratulations on the win.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We're actually feeling really good about this. This was something that we've been looking forward to all week. We got knocked out of one of our other leagues earlier this month, so we were kind of just looking forward to this, and we were just prepping all week for this. So we're really excited that we got the win tonight.
Gotcha. So, firstly, I want to ask, because I think this is the most recent thing in everyone's memory. What was that last round? You were one round away from being forced into overtime, and you pull out the Boz G, the sausage, the Clash. You know what you were doing. We all know what you were doing. That takes guts to do that when it's so close. You were that confident you were gonna win. What was really going on in the background there? That's kind of crazy.
Obviously, earlier on, we kind of threw some rounds earlier into the game, and we kind of just locked in as a team. And like we were playing with our food at the end of the day. So going into that last round, we kind of just started playing with our food a little bit more, and then we ended up, getting those first few picks with the Boss G, and then Zmart I think ended up getting one with the sausage or the PNM. So it was just kind of like one of those things where it's just confidence is the best killer. So.
And you've shown that quite well.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And with that confidence as well, we saw that you guys were setting the pace in a lot of these rounds. Now, was that something that was key to helping you with winning labs being your map pick? Because you guys, that round difference went a lot closer than it did on Cafe, even with it being your map pick. Was that, with it going to labs, was the confidence something that really helped keep your heads high, even when you were not winning as many rounds as you had been before?
Yeah, I'd probably say the confidence is obviously the key part to us winning a lot of those rounds, especially even on Cafe too. One of the biggest things that we always discuss as a team is our mentals. So whenever somebody's having a bad day in the game, we always try to, like uplift their spirits, kind of get their head back into the game, so that way everybody else is kind of in tune with one another. But yeah, confidence is probably one of the most key parts in us being the team that we are. Is just if we know that we're going into a game and the odds are stacked against us, then it basically puts that chip on our shoulder to go in head first. So.
Gotcha. Okay. So here's something that I was kind of curious about. You guys won out Cafe in a pretty strong fashion, 7-2. So were you expecting Cafe to be so strong in your favor, despite the fact that it wasn't your pick? And what did you think made the difference in winning that out so strongly? Again, just the confidence, or did you have a little bit more preparation in the background that kind of gave a bit of an edge that might not have been immediately visible?
It was definitely the pre-prep before the game. This week we spent a lot of time scrimming Cafe. We scrimmed about 3 different teams on it. Obviously we play ranked as a house all the time. So it's just kind of like dry running our strats, whether it be ranked or scrims and stuff like that. So that was something that we were actually really looking forward to for them picking, and we were excited when we saw that they ended up picking Cafe. So it's both confidence and pre-prep work. So that was something that really helped us.
Okay, and do you put that similar level of practice in other maps, or is that just kind of like Cafe was specifically like, let's make this our specialization and our strong point? Because that's a lot of effort to put in for one map.
Yeah, this week especially, it was one of those maps where we really wanted to focus on that map specifically. We're pretty much a well-oiled machine on maps like Night Haven, and I think Skyscraper was the decider, I believe. But that's another map that we're really well-oiled on. So it was just more of trying to figure out what one of their best maps were, and once we kind of figured it out, one map that we needed work on, so it ended up being one of their better maps. So that was something that we just decided to go heavy-handed for.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so preparation obviously plays a lot into it. I'm looking at some of my notes from a couple of weeks ago as well. You guys had played Skyscraper and Border, won those 7-1 and 7-2 respectively as well. So you say that Skyscraper is one that you're really well oiled on. Were you then, of course, surprised to see that map actually make it through the bans to be your decider had it gone to all 3 maps?
If it had gone all 3 maps, I think we were more excited that it ended up being the decider rather than it not being up on the board, because there's a lot of maps that are really 50-50, like Clubhouse, for example. That's a map that literally anybody can win. Skyscraper tends to be more defensive sided, so if it ended up going to map 3 and let's say we win the round diff to get defense, I think we go pretty headstrong into it, saying that we're just gonna run this one out and take it.
Right on.
Okay, now I've got a little bit of a cheeky question for you guys, and more specifically, kind of Zmars. Maybe you can give me a little insight. I pride myself on having pretty good aim, but you guys are. I'll just say, you guys are demons when it comes to aim. What's your secret? Everyone wants to know, how do you get your aim so good? What's your routine? What's your sensitivity? And can I copy that for myself?
I can't speak for Zmart himself. I mean, he's my roommate, but He kind of just does his thing. Our basic motto of what we do is if we see people, we just click and shoot. So
Oh, okay. You're just gonna hide the secrets from me. Okay, I'll remember that, Muskingum. Thanks. Okay.
Yeah, I got nothing else for you tonight. I just had some questions about what you were looking to win that round. I mean, congrats to Zmart as well, getting 29 kills in all those rounds. Absolute powerhouse to have on your side for these games. But yeah, maybe for the end of the day. But we'll see if he can keep up that power going forward. So you guys feel pretty confident though going into the next round of the playoffs here, right?
yeah, he's known as our gunner. So if he gets a few early round picks, and we're kind of set out for the rest of the round, unless as a whole team collectively we decide to start throwing rounds. But yeah, he's kind of like our shining star basically. So it's one of those things where it's just like if he gets his, then we're kind of set for greatness. So.
Well, he's definitely got his demon time moments. But before we close this out, Lucci, do you got any shout outs before we finish this one?
Just the rest of the guys, man. We all live together in one of the houses on campus, so it's just one of those things where it's just we see each other every day. We play the game with each other every day, so it's just shout out to them. Shout out to everybody watching. I know there's some fans of myself in the chat that always shout me out. So, but no, it's just a big shout out to the rest of the guys, our coaches, obviously, because they've played a big part in getting us closer as a team too. So, just shout out to all of them.
Outstanding. And with that being said, thank you for joining us for this interview. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to conclude the interview and conclude this massive series of matchups that we had here tonight for the quarterfinals. I'm Piercing, joined with Kai. Kai, any last words before we head out?
No, thank you all so very much for coming out tonight. Appreciate you all being here and sticking with us so late through basically 6 hours of Siege. It's a lot of time to dedicate, and appreciate you all being here.
100%. And with that being said, thank you to production and thank you, the viewers, for tuning in. And with that being said, we're going to call it a night. Take it easy and enjoy your weekends. Have a good day.